No, no, oh. So it's TBR time once again. Hey, what it do? What it do? What is up with you? Welcome back. Welcome back to my channel, to a TBR video. I thought I'd make one, even though I said I probably wouldn't make one, but I kind of want to make one, so I'm going to make one. This is my TBR Charlie. As you can see, it's kind of empty now, right? It wasn't like a huge thing, but things have definitely shifted. Things have definitely shifted, and I am handling my business like I said I would. It's been 1 month. It's been 1 month. Okay, this might completely go kaput in July. My plans to read books every three like you know put out 3 months worth of books instead of monthly might go kaput. Like I said in my newbie video, if it's not habit, I'm not gonna do it. So I have to make this habit. I have to stick to this. So let's see what I'm going to read in July. Okay, so let's begin with read-alongs, readathons, and everything in between. I am not doing any readathons in July. I haven't found any that I wanted to do. But I am continuing on with my read along of ACOTAR and my reading challenge, my 13 week reading challenge that is being hosted by Fig Boutique, Vivian at Fig Boutique. So great. So that means that I am going to at least try and start. Look, I talked to Paula from Family and Books about this. She understands why certain things happen. I even missed the live show, the discussion. She understood why I told her. But what I'm going to do for ACOWAR is I'm going to start tabbing the books to find out and tabbing things that I liked. I have been living in Akamoth with too much negativity. So I'm going to find something in this series if it proves me, okay? I loved ACOTAR and I want to go back to, the ACOTAR likingness, the oh my god, that's so sweet before everything is ruined. Everything was ruined. So I'm going to tab this, find things that I like. I want not only the same experience that I had with ACOTAR. I didn't tab that book. I did give it a 4 star. It wasn't like a 5 star read, it was a 4 star. I did enjoy it. But I want the enjoyment that I had with Crescent City, the first book, where even though there were problems in that book and I didn't like the main character, I was still enjoying it. I was having fun. There were moments when I was like, ah, and there was moments when I was like, kiss a fool, and there was moments where I was like, oh, that's quite sad. That's quite sad. I enjoyed it. That villain monologue was long though. Anyway, so for this, I'm going to start tabbing it. Find things that I like. Tab the things that I like. I enjoyed. Okay, I'm just gonna go in it blind. And when I find things that I'm like, oh, emotional response, not a negative emotional response, a positive emotional response, I will tab it. That should make it more enjoyable for me. Also, since this was June's book, I still have to read A Court of Mist, Court of Frost and Starlight. Mist and Fury is still on my A Court of Frost and Starlight. This is July's book and it's the shortest one. And tomorrow, when I go into town, because we go into town and we do our errands every Saturday, I'm going to pick up A Court of Silver Flames. And that's the last book for the readathon. We are so close. We're so close to finishing this. No more negative thoughts, all positive thoughts. I have to find something that I like, okay? I like, because look, okay? Me and Sarah Janet have a complicated relationship, okay? She is like a, uh, a failed moment of pleasure, okay? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? There are bits when she's like really there, she's into it, she's accustomed, she's doing it right, and then there are times when it just flatlines and I ain't feeling nothing. So I need to focus on the positives so I can, reach some kind of climax, if you know what I mean. And I know I'm saying this about books that are notorious for being very PORN, but just, you know what I'm saying. Metaphors, okay? You know what I'm saying. So remember when I said that I was going to try and get 2 Star Wars books done in June? I only did one. I only read Heir of the Empire, which is up here. That's all done and dusted. But I am going to go on to Dark Force Rising by Timothy Zahn. All the books are written by Timothy Zahn. Blah, blah, blah. Okay? So, this follows on immediately after what happened in Empire, Heir of Empire, and I was very surprised to find that I did really enjoy that book. I did really enjoy it. It gave a lot more context. I'll go a little bit more into it when I do my wrap up next month, but I really liked the nuances of what they were doing with Leia. She has a lot more presence, I think, in this in the last book. She's a lot more fleshed out. We learn a lot more about her and her like superpowers, what she can do. Do you know what I mean? And I really enjoyed that. I don't. Mm, it's narrowing down my dislike. I no longer think my dislike is for the soap opera that is the Skywalker family. I think depending on who the person is who's doing it, right? I think my issues with the Jedi, but I am gonna go on to this book. I am doing this because I am preparing. In August, I think I have like one more book left to read, but in August, I am going through. I am going through for 3 months the entire Thorn trilogy because in August, Osaka is coming out. That is the latest Star Wars property, and that goes heavily into the lore that these 3 books are about. It focuses on the big blue guy on the cover, Thorn. So it's a perfect time to read through these books and find out more about them, more about the Star Wars lore that they kept saying isn't canon, but apparently is now. So I have one more book after this, The Last Command, I think it's called, and the Thorn book, the only Thorn book that I own from the other trilogy that I need to get. So I'm going to be doing this in July. Okay, next are the stuff for my 13-week reading challenge. This is a reading challenge that is being hosted by Vivian at the Fig Boutique, which is a book tube channel as well. She's set up a reading challenge to help people read consistently over 13 weeks, and these are the books that I will be reading for it. These are the books that are left, really. And on Wednesday at her sprints, we added on an extra book. We collectively decided to read this book. It sounded really good. And that is Death by Chocolate by Sally Berneathy. We were going to start this on Wednesday at her Wednesday sprint. So we'll be reading this book at the same time together, which should be fun. And I'm looking forward to that. Also, I have ARCs. I have ARCs from Bloodhound Books. I'm one of their ARC readers, so I've been actively participating in reading my ARCs. Um, the first ARC that I need to read, the publishing date has kind of passed. It was like 2 days ago, but I am currently reading it. And I'm hoping to finish in July, so that is part of my July TBR, is The Bad Wife by Sarah Edghill. It's a thriller that looks really, really good. She wants what she cannot have. That's the tagline. And a book that is coming out in July that I'm also looking forward to. That is also an arc that I am also reading for Bloodhound Books is The Boat Trip by Heather J. Fitt. Heather was like she was one of the social media people that gave us our arc books, and she came out with a book, and they gave it to us so we could review it and spread the word. This is a murder mystery that is set on a boat. Had me. Enough said. Had me. Like, so the journey of a lifetime becomes the holiday from hell. I am getting into this. Cannot wait for that. This is another Bloodhound book. So those are my two arcs. So, okay, also, I'm still doing Husbay's reading challenge. I did not read his book for June, so I will be reading his book for June, which is Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. I looked into this book, and the first page is written phonetically. Okay, so I genuinely mean that like it's written phonetically. So I'm kind of curious why that is. Also, he was playing around my TBR jar. You'll see this in a minute. He was playing around my TBR jar, and he pulled out one of the names, and it was Castle Library's tag. So Castle Library is no longer in my TBR jar. He picked it, and he asked for me to ask Princess to give me a book to read. She gave me a list. He picked one, and that is The Yearling. I don't know the author, but you'll see it here. And that is his July book for me to read. So those are two additional books that I need to get on with. Okay, now for the TBR jar. So this is something that you will see in a video. Hopefully you will see it in my roundup because I actually used it to pick this book. But I, at the early beginning of this year, before I even started like uploading on YouTube, I think after I started uploading on YouTube, I decided to make a TBR jar, but will help me pick out books to read. Okay? And in this box is the YouTube channels that I subscribe to on YouTube. So basically, how this goes, because I'm incredibly lazy, I couldn't think of a TBR game. So this is my TBR game where I am going to pick out the name, shake it, pick out a name of a YouTube channel, look up that YouTube channel, and the first video, the most recent video they released, is the prompt for the book that I need to pick off of my trolley. Okay. I also, depending on that YouTube channel, I've put, breaks. I've put, should I do an extra challenge? All of that stuff. All of it comes down to what is on the YouTube video that I'm taking the prompt from. So let's do that. So nice shake. Let's choose this one. Okay, CZsWorld. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but it says CZsWorld. CZsWorld is a horror YouTube channel, of course, and he goes really in depth into movie lore and movie character history. He does a series called Things You Missed, which literally goes really in depth into the movies, like movie references that are in movies. He also does a character history. So he goes really in depth in a character, the history of a character within the chosen medium. And he does a lot of book stuff as well. I remember when he was covering It, he not only covered the movie It, but he covered the books as well. He also did Misery. And I think recently he did Patrick Bateman from Psycho. So that is my choosy, and I'm gonna go on his video and find what the prompt's gonna be. So let's do that. So I found the book that I am going to read. It's not on my TBR trolley. It is, however, on my Kindle. Recently, I received an ARC for the latest book that's coming out by Ronald Malfi, and he's the author of Unwritten Ghosts. It's a book up here. It's a book up here somewhere. Um, but I recently got his latest book, and that book is They Lurk. So, for those of you who haven't watched Insidious, it's all about this family who move into a house. They've been in the house for a while, and they start being haunted by like entities. And in chapter 2, it the first movie ends with the son being taken. Spoilers, sorry, go watch the movie, it's great. In the second one, in the second movie, it continues on with like a paranormal investigator coming to the house, and there's this whole thing about a red door and the bride. It's great. It's a great movie. Watched it for Halloween. It was fantastic. But for me to do this, I am going to read They Lurk, which is 5 novellas in one by Randall Malfi. Um, I have one of his books up here. It's up here somewhere. Um, it's not behind me, is it? No, it's up here somewhere. But I received this art from NetGalley, so I am going to read it. It is a great opportunity to fulfill this prompt and read an arc and get this done and reviewed for NetGalley and probably for work as well, since, the more the merrier. So we're going to do that. Additionally, as well, because there's always 2 things that I try to do for these, since they're so encompassing, and it's not just about reading the book. I'm going to see if Husband wants to watch the Insidious movies with me. So, since he's talking about Insidious Chapter 2, I'm going to watch Insidious and Insidious 2. See if we can do that before the month is up. A little bit of horror movie never hurt anyone. So that's what I'm going to do. That sounds so excited. This does not go back in here. This goes closed. And this is put aside to see if I fulfill that prompt. Happily to say, you'll see in my wrap-up that I did fulfill the other prompt. The book is here. And the prompt for that was that. And I couldn't DNF the book. So, yeah, fulfilled. I also have another book that I'm going to be reading, but that is for a video. I can't really tell you about that until that happens. And that's for the first week of July, so I need to get on with that. And finally, and last but not least, I have been. Oh, come on, you're in me shot!
Yes, but you did.
And finally, are the books that I am just kind of in the mood to be reading. Take these four with a pinch of salt. I might swap them out. They might be replaced with something else. They are just the mood that I am in to be reading right now. These are my mood reads. Everything else was books that I'm going to have to read for whatever reason or another. These are the moods. These are the mood swings. These four are the moods, the feelies. Okay, so take them with a pinch of salt. They might not stay, they might get swapped out. So, here are the four books. The first being Bridget Jones' Edge of Reason by Helen Fielding. This is the second book in the Bridget Jones series. I literally was going to use this as an excuse for my TBR game. Because it's a sequel. And I was like, maybe I should use a sequel, but I was like, no. Yeah, stick to the genre, stick to it. But this follows on right after, I don't know how long after Bridget Jones, but I liked Bridget Jones. I've been feeling like getting back into the early 2000s feel of things. So I'm going to try and get to this book. Okay, so I have a little bit of a confession to make. I am a Brando Sando fando by proxy. I have never read a Brandon Sanderson book. I've been wanting to try to get into it. I know that Mistborn is in its second season. I have one of the books on my Kindle. I think I have like Alloy of Metal on my Kindle. Um but I have never really read a Brandon Sanderson book. But I am a Brando Sando fando. How do I know? By proxy. I live through other people. So I'm going to try and break that. Okay, I'm going to make myself a true Brando Sando fando by finally reading Elantris. This was the book that someone I asked like 3 years ago when I was looking for books to read. I knew of Brandon Sanderson. I wanted to get into Brandon Sanderson, so I asked someone. He's got so many books. Where do I start? And he said, start with Elantris, and then go into Mistborn. So I am going to do so. This is his standalone. I don't know if it's still a standalone as I'm speaking right now. I know he's written a few more books, but I'm pretty sure this is still a standalone. And I'm going to get into this book. Finally reading a Brandon Sanderson. Finally in the mood for a Brando Sando. Do you know what I mean? Finally in the mood for Brando Sando. Okay, so as we were speaking about Elantris, I changed my mind about a book. I put a book back and took up two. Mood reads, mood's gotta read. But I decided to go instead with No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai. I first heard about this book while watching Wendigoon's channel. He did a rundown of the book and the manga, going through both stories. Well, going through the story, the manga by Junji Ito is an adaptation of this book, in the Junji Ito style. Um, and I didn't want to read this. I was told by my husband not to read this in my birthday month because it was going to make me really, really sad. And although this month is husband's birthday month and my brother's birthday month, and I don't want to be sad on those days, I'm going to wait until towards like the end of the month to read this book. But I am definitely interested in reading this and experiencing this book for myself. This is all about a young man named Yozo, and he doesn't have the ability to connect with other people to the point where he believes that he is not really human. The original title for this was Disqualified as a Human Being. The introduction was written by the translator, and it was just going into how different things are and how different things were back then, and the mental health of just really talking about Osamu Dazai. Um, and all about his like sense of isolation. This book is about isolation and loneliness, and I'm already. The back says, "Mine has been a life of much shame. I can't even guess myself what it must be to live a life of a human being." Next is a book that I've been wanting to read for a long time. This is Children of Time. I recently wrote about this book for work, and it just made me want to read it more. So I'm going to add this to my what I want to read for July bookshelf. And finally, I'm not even going to cut the video off here. Finally, I'm literally still halfway through. I'm literally still halfway through. I'm still halfway through Memory of Souls. I need to finish this so I can go on to The House of Always. I'm going to finish this. I'm literally 367 pages. I've been reading this book for 2 years. A year, maybe. I started this last year. Um, and I need to finish it. I need to finish this book. It's been a while. I have all 5 books. I need to finish this book. I need to get into this. This book gives me Oblivion vibes. And that's it. That's all of the books that I want to read in July. These are a large amount of diverse books. Um, I have 2 thrillers, 4 fantasies, 2 romantasies covered in the romance genre, 3 sci-fis, 1 woman's fiction, 1 contemporary, 1 horror, not to mention what I might pick up later on. And as always, tack så mycket för att du tittade. Hoppas du har en bra dag. Good dag!